Yet I can call you friend. Gracious God, creator of the universe, and yet the lover of my soul. Alpha and Omega, and yet I can call you friend. I don't have to beg you for anything, but I can thank you for everything. God, I thank you because this is the day that you have made, and I can rejoice and be glad in it. Thank you for this day of magnificence and glory and splendor. God, I thank you for life, health, and for strength. I thank you for soundness of mind. I thank you for peace, love, and joy. I thank you for the essence of you that envelops me right now, from the crown of my head to the soles of my feet. We thank you for this day of manifestation. We thank you for the day of revelation. We thank you for the day of impartation. We thank you as you move in the midst of your people to bring us to the greatest times that we've ever seen since the foundation of the world. Thank you, Lord, that for this time and for this season, you've allowed us to be a part of your move in the face of the earth. I thank you, God, for the revolution that you're bringing forth, God, even in the midst of the earth right now. And I thank you for the opportunity to be a part of what you're doing in this hour, because in the last days, saith God, you said you would pour out your spirit on all flesh. And so now we thank you for the pouring out. God, I thank you for the rain and the move of your spirit. I thank you for fresh oil. I thank you for new wine. I thank you for the new thing that you're doing. I thank you now that it does spring forth. I thank you, Lord, that you've called us to be the head and not the tail. You've called us to be above only and not beneath. You've called us to be the lender and not the borrower. You've called, God, that our storehouses would be full and increase. God, I thank you because even I decree and declare that the people under the sound of my voice, even now, are moving in the might of your strength. Not by might nor by power, but by your spirit. I thank you for those that are the sons and daughters of God that are called because they walk not after the flesh, but after your spirit. I thank you for the rising up of the people of your kingdom. I thank you that your kingdom come. I thank you that your will be done, even now in earth as it is in heaven. I thank you, Lord, because you are moving in the midst of your people mightily as never before. Raise us up, oh God, to the standard of what you've called us to be. God, I thank you for the standard of greatness. I thank you for the standard of holiness. I thank you for the standard of moving as the sons and daughters of yours, and not as vagabonds, not as those that never knew you, not as those that are confused and confounded, but God, those that know who they are in you. I thank you for the knowing. I thank you, God, for knowing you. I thank you for knowing your presence. Thank you for knowing your Holy Ghost power that gives us the ability to be successful. Your anointing that gives us the power to rise up and be called blessed. Thank you for that is in us. Thank you, God, for all things that pertain to life and godliness. Thank you because we are not confused. We are not deceived. And we thank you for that clarity of mind and the clarity of vision that allows us to walk forth as kings and queens, as princes and princesses in the kingdom that walk in the earth. We thank you that we are your beloved, and we rise up as the apple of your eye. We rise up, oh God, as those that you love with all of your heart. And God, we love you back. I thank you for soundness of mind. I thank you for soundness of spirit. I thank you that healing is our bread. Healing is our deliverance. By the stripes of Jesus, we're already healed. And we speak forth that healing even now for those that need it. Thank you, God, for every stripe that was taken. Thank you for the bruising. Thank you that he was wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. God, with those same stripes we declare and we speak healing in Jesus' name. We give you glory. We give you peace. We give you honor. We give you blessing. We give you might. We ascribe all of these things unto you because they are yours. Thank you. The fruit of my lips giving thanks unto your name, ever giving you all that is yours. Glory, honor, power, dominion, majesty It's yours. I decree it and I speak it. In the mighty name of Jesus, it is so. Amen and amen.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I want to welcome you to today's edition of Yes You O Cubed, one-on-one, just me and you. Now, as y'all can see, I'm not in my studio, and you know that's going to create a problem when I get back home because, you know, my studio does not like to be treated like a side piece. It's my side piece. So I had a situation that came up, and I bring you greetings from the city of Dallas this morning. The city of Dallas. I'm sitting out in my car because I'm here with family and loved ones, and they're all asleep. I drove in last night and kind of chilled a little bit. And we ended up having marvelous conversation. And the saints stayed up till Lord Jesus. I believe it was way past midnight. You know, we just had a good time, my nephews and I, and we chatted away. And they are still asleep. So I thought it well to come out here in my car for all of you all that see what's going on. Thank you, BTD Mom. Thank you so much. Now listen, this is Yes You O Cubed, one-on-one, just me and you. And this is your spiritual thought leader, Regina L. Stillman. And I'm so glad you joined me on this fine day. Now, I just want to say good morning to everybody. Today's date is, can you believe it? This month is gone, y'all. It's just straight up gone. Today's date is Thursday, April the 29th in the year 2021. And so I'm glad to be here with you. I'm glad that you all got up this morning and joined me here. Good morning. Good morning. Now I'm going to go back. You know, I got to take care of business because Mel Holiday, you are the winner of Grandpa Holmes's chair. Ah, clap, clap, applause. Yes, Mel, you are the winner of Grandpa Holmes's chair. And so I want to congratulate you for being the winner on this fine day. And thank you for getting up. You got your hips up and you got in that chair and you made your way. That's right. Give her some applause, y'all. Give her some applause. Thank you, Monica. Give her some applause because she's earned it and deserves it on this morning. Now, with that, I want to say, get your coffee cups out. Get your coffee cups out. Because listen, we're going to have a little tea on today. We're going to have a little tea on today. With that, get your coffee cups out. And I want to say good morning, Mel Holiday. Good morning, Anita Harvey. Yes, let me get my words right. Good morning, Monica L. Smith. Good morning, Sheila Miles. Good morning, BTD Mom. Good morning to SK8843. Good morning, Stacy546. I appreciate all of you guys. I see you out there. And I love it. I'm so happy to be here with you on this morning. And we're going to have some chit chat. Now, you know, after we, all is said and done, after we get finished with all of the good mornings, I always like to stop and pause for the cause. And the cause is none other than the Rebel Inc. That is my ride or die. And good morning, Rebel Inc. I didn't say good morning to you. You've been in the studio for a minute getting me set up for today. Now, I want you to go and support the Rebel Inc. Yes, that's at therebelinc.com. Get you some. Yes, the therebelinc.com. Please get you some. Now, if anybody was still asleep, I believe that promo should have woke you up. If you were still asleep, we should have got you right there. I want you to go out and check out the rebelinc.com and please support her. I appreciate her. Also, King Coogee, King Coogee. Shout out to King Coogee for the music that you're not going to hear today because I'm not in my studio and we don't have that set up for me from remote location. But I still got to appreciate him every day for making a way to have music. Typically, we do during the broadcast. So today's going to be a little bit different because you know how it is. I've been remote a few times out in Cali, and today I'm remote from Dallas. And we're just going to go ahead and go right on and have the conversation. But that's okay. We're going to miss the music. Again, shout out to King Coogee, but we're going to keep it rolling. Now, before I start, I got to say this. Yesterday, I called my sister on my way here to Dallas. Now, while I say that, let me stop and say, I'm glad I made it because saints of the Most High God, I saw and went in and out of rain all the way down here on yesterday. Left Kansas City, it was fine. Got to Emporia, had a little difficulty. Came on down between El Dorado and Wichita, it was raining cats and dogs. Made it out of that, got down to Oklahoma, and got to about Perry, I believe it was, Perry, Oklahoma. Saints, let me tell you, it was raining cats and dogs. Then all of a sudden it got real calm and quiet. People were getting out of the cars on the side of the highway with their cameras. And I was like, what's going on? Let me tell you, folks were getting out of the cars because I looked over to my right. I looked over to the west and I saw funnels. As small as they may have been, I saw funnels and people were getting out of their cars trying to take pictures of funnels. My foot got anointed with the Holy Ghost and I sped up because I'm like, look, y'all can sit here and take pictures if you want to. Now, I'm going to tell you what. Y'all had good morning, Royal Confessions. Y'all had tornado warnings all day. And baby, I mean, 3 little baby funnels were off to my right. I saw them with my eyes. And I'm like, y'all out here taking pictures? Oh, no, 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 no. Listen, you got the wrong one, baby. You would have thought I was Jesus on the boat with the disciples because I started rebuking the winds and the waves. Listen, the waves on the highway. Wind, the Lord rebuke you. y'all think I'm playing, but I'm not. I said, look, water that wants to pull up on top of the road. I rebuke you too. I speak traction on my tires. Y'all ain't ready for me. Because, baby, it was coming down. Now, that was just a little tense 5 minutes or so. And after that, I drove again back into rain, in and out, all the way down here. But I'm glad to be alive. As the old folks used to say, glad to be in the service one more time because he didn't have to let me live to be in the service, but I'm here. And I'm grateful that I made it. I decided to come out and sit in my car this morning because, again, my nephews and I set up and we hee-heed and kiki till the wee hours of the morning. And bless their hearts, they got to go to work this morning. But when I started this podcast, they were still asleep. And y'all know I got to be able to holler and scream and do all the things that I do. I didn't want to disturb the house, nor the little dog. You know, they got a brand new little dog, and I didn't want him getting traumatized by a spiritual thought leader. Now, as I was telling this story, I was driving and I began to talk to my sister. I called her and had her on speakerphone, hands-free, y'all, hands-free. But my little great, yes, great. Did I get enough greats on there? It might be great or else great. My little nephew, Malcolm, who you all heard BTD Mom on yesterday, talking about him saying, could it be? Well, I heard it for myself because I was driving and he saw my picture on my sister's phone. And when he saw my picture on her phone, he randomly hollered out where I could hear him, Could it be? Could it be? I was done. I was absolutely done. Now my little man is what 2 years old, and so I'm just tickled, pleased, and overjoyed that he's already got. Listen, I told BTD Mom Rebel Inc. I told her you got a video, little Malcolm talking about could it be, could it be, and then of course you know how kids do. Once we got so tickled about it, I think he couldn't be for about 5-10 minutes straight. He had couldn't be on the brain and didn't go nowhere till we got off the phone. But it was great. I loved every second of it. So that was the enjoyment I had driving down here. Had a great time. I feel good. And I'm gonna talk a little bit. My word of the day was unknown, and somebody may have looked at that and said, "What is unknown? What's she gonna talk about?" Well, part of that too, part of that too. But no, I really do. So many things in life right now are teaching us that you just don't know. Everything is unknown. You just got to keep it going. But I'm glad to be here in the great city of Dallas. I'm sitting out here in area. My nephews built a house, just absolutely gorgeous. And when I was here on last year, they were one of few here in this subdivision. And I'm looking around now as I sit here, and there are houses, beautiful houses. I'm surrounded everywhere. They have a nice little corner lot, so I'm able to see all of the intersecting streets. And I tell you, it's so amazing the change that can happen in just a year's time. Well, I'm gonna go ahead on. Thank you for allowing me to have my little musings before I opened up this morning. But this is a beautiful time to be alive. I'm happy to be here. I'm looking at the beauty of the outside. If it gets dark, it's only because there's still clouds that are coming and going here in Dallas, out here in the area. I'm in a little town called Prosper, which is one of the subdivisions. Don't you like that name, Prosper? It's prophetic. Move to some place called Prosper and prophesy over your life. Even when you can imagine when you write your address and before you get to the end, you always put in Prosper. I live in Prosper. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered. Good morning, Teresa Jones. It's so good to see you here. While we slumbered, slept, and slobbered. President Biden, put a 1 in the chat if you really enjoyed his address on yesterday. Put a 2 in the chat if you did not. If you felt like it was just some more rhetoric or whatever. I feel, and this is me, the spiritual thought leader, and this is yes, you on cube, one-on-one, just me and you, where I tell it like it T-I-Z tis. We take this coffee with no cream. I can get my thoughts together. No sugar. We tell it like it T-I-Z tis. Yes, we take that coffee strong and black. I really do feel like President Biden is really trying to turn this country around. If you have not noticed, there has been an agenda and a push and a move for a minute now to go from an autocracy to the oligarchy. I mean, you just can't tell what's going on here. It is a whole push to keep control of this whole racist mentality in this country that has plagued us from day one. Like I said, it ain't nothing new. It has plagued us since day one. But the world is ready for change. I'm ready for change. You're ready for change. I'm looking at those ones: BTD Mom, Monica L. Smith, SK8843, Teresa Jones. Thank you all. I agree. I give it a thumbs up. I really feel like he is actually providing concepts and ideas and plans and vision. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Finally, we're coming into that place where we can have a good country that we can feel good about. Plans. I hope that he's able to launch his agendas. You know, we've got the obstructionists out there. And the obstruction is on several sides. I'm not just talking to the Republican Party, because I don't know how Manchin got his hips up in the Democratic Party. I almost want to, y'all tell me if you know. I almost want to look and see, was it Republican that turned Democrat? That's a whole nother conversation to have. These so-called individuals that are going from one party to the next. I feel like some of that is even a matter of they try to calculate which party the winds are blowing for, and they just flow and flip-flop with the wind. And I think we need to do something about that. But we got some folk on both sides that are obstructionists, and we got to deal with whatever. However, as I was saying, I hope that President Biden can pull out his plans and bring something different to the fore, because it's time for that change. To racism, I see you, SK8843. Bye, Felicia. Bye, Felicia. We've had enough. And you're trying to come up with your agenda and push it forward. But I feel like the winds of change are blowing in the right direction. That's what I believe. I believe the winds of change are blowing in the right direction. And I believe that President Biden is heading that up. Personal opinion. But that's what I feel. And this is my show, so I can say whatever I want to say. I tells it like it Tiz. Now, while he's trying to move us in the right direction, we got, like I said, opposition coming from the other side. We have things while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered. We got things like the great state of Idaho, 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 Idaho. Idaho, Idaho. Idaho that wants to come out, and they're trying to pass legislation with their agenda that's basically saying we want to make it against the law in the great state of Idaho for anybody in the school system to teach racism as a part of this country's history. Wait a minute, Idaho. Are you just this goes back to the whole element, like I've been talking about. The whole idea that we can just change the whole narrative and act like it didn't exist. How are you going to pass a law that you want to try to say it's illegal to teach history of racism in this country when that's what we have? Whose history are you trying to tell? So at the end of the day, I'm looking, I see you, BTD mom, those rich reps got tight lips about paying the taxes. Listen, Biden and his administration, because listen, ever since Garland got his hips in the chair, Garland said, I ain't playing with y'all. I'm coming at y'all for every direction. And we're not going to have a partisan type of justice. We just going to deal with everybody where you're at. Whatever you're doing and whatever your issues are, we're going to get you. So at the end of the day, you better straighten up and act right. Pay your taxes. Come on, because you all are skirting. You're getting by. You're not doing anything. And I got several things rolled up in there. My mind went several places. But even in the element of tax evasion, or as they want to say, loopholes. It's a loophole that I found so that I don't have to pay this and I don't have to pay that. Biden is saying, show me the money. Show me the money. Because at the end of the day, that money can be utilized to do some other things that really need to happen in this country. And come on, y'all. You want to talk about socialism. And let me go there just for a second. Y'all going to have to deal with me kind of moving around here and there on this morning with the camera because I'm just holding it in my hand. I don't have my stabilizer not being employed this morning. But you want to talk about socialism. And socialism is what you want to scream anytime you start talking about any type of platform that helps the poor, that helps the needy, that helps the less fortunate. Anytime we get there, we want to automatically start hollering and screaming about socialism. But I contend that the rich and the wealthy have been the worst offenders of handouts because you won't pay your fair share of taxes. Every time we turn around, you're hiding money in other countries. You want to utilize, while you want to talk about make America great again, you want to utilize every foreign country that you can in hiring employees all overseas and abroad because you're going to pay them half a penny. And at the end of the day, after you make all of this money, you do not want to contribute to the country through your taxes. So don't talk to me about socialism. And y'all know how I do it. Get your coffee cups out. Listen, Idaho just justified their name, BTD Mom. Idaho. Idaho in the house. Idaho, Idaho. Okay. Anyway, let me act right. Let me act right. BTD Mom, you done got me all off. You done got me all off. Idaho in the house. But at the end of the day, we got all of these. That's why I said it's not just a matter of the Republicans. Come on, get your coffee cup out, SK, because you know, no cream, no sugar. We take this coffee strong and black because I tell it like it Tiz. So I'm looking at Idaho. I'm looking at Republicans that don't want to pay their taxes. I'm looking at all of these things as obstruction. It's not just coming from one. So yes, in some element, the wealthy get in that as well, because the reason why these legislators are able to get in office is because you have the wealthy that want to hold on to their dastardly deeds. You have those that want to vote to get them in office to actually protect and maintain their little wealth. They want to maintain their little tax loopholes. And as President Biden is raising the taxes back up to what they were on the wealthy, on those that have a certain amount of income, money, and above, that's where the taxing is going. And, you know, at the end of the day, in my personal opinion, that's where the taxing should be. So I want to say kudos to President Biden on yesterday. Boo to Idaho, Idaho in the house, Idaho, boo. And to all of those that really are working against bringing us to a place of a fair and just system of equity, liberty, and justice for all, finally in this country. You know, I'm praying for you. I want you to get your mind right, because at the end of the day, it's time to make that change. We are the people who can do it. Now, while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, I had to write some things down because I had to do it a little bit differently this morning. While we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, John Mattingly, who is one of the officers involved in the Breonna Taylor killing, while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, he came out and said, you know what? I wanted this career forever, but for the sake of moving this city forward, for the sake of bringing peace. No, there ain't peace in the valley for you, sir. If for the sake of bringing peace, I'm going to retire. Well, let me tell you what, sir. I'm glad you're getting off the force. However, I want you to not retire and get a pension. How about that? For the sake of bringing some peace to the valley, for the sake of bringing some justice to the process, how about you retire and don't draw a pension? Because at the end of the day, y'all, this is exactly why New York has passed legislation that basically is trying to say, listen, when people are under scrutiny, when people are on the hot seat, we want legislation that says you can't just up and resign and go on about your life your own merry way as if nothing ever happened. We want it to be known and understood. Number one, you can't go someplace else. Now, I think not only do we need to say, because I don't think he's trying to get back in law enforcement. I've heard whispers. Now, it was reported to me. I don't know how accurate it is. I've heard whispers that he has aspirations to run for some kind of political office. No, we don't want you. We don't want you. We don't want you. As soon as the Justice Department said they will investigate, he figured it's time to retire. He shouldn't get to retire, Stacy. He should be fired. Should have been fired. That's all I'm saying. And SK, yes, he got motivated when the Justice Department said, listen, we're going to investigate. Now, he's out here trying to say, I got a feeling Mattingly should be retired. You should be fired. You should have been fired. Been fired, been fired. So when we look at this whole scenario, we keep playing this dastardly game. Could it be? Where's Malcolm? Could it be the devil? Bum, bum, bum. Ain't nothing but that old slimy devil. So when you get down to it, I'm looking and I'm saying, while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, Mr. Mattingly, I'm not impressed. Listen, sir, you should have been gone. Out of there. Nada. Goodbye. You are the weakest link. And so the further issue to me is his ability to draw a pension, a retirement pension on the years. He talks about the 21 years, I believe it was, that he unselfishly gave his service in civic duty to his community. Sit down, have all the seats. And I think this is something, again, that bears addressing, because he should have been gone, Stacey, a long time ago. Because at the end of the day, you, sir, are part of the problem. And you should not be able at your leisure, because now, again, SK, I'm going to go back to what you said. As soon as the Justice Department said they're going to investigate, all of a sudden you feel the spirit of retirement come upon you. Could it be? Somebody get Malcolm for me. Could it be the devil? Bum, bum, bum. Ain't nothing but that old slimy devil. So I look at that, and somebody, I hope, is going to cry foul on this whole, because it's foul. It is foul and funky that this man has the option, after partaking in killing somebody, and now that they finally, because Cameron, where you at? Where you at? Crickets. Doorbell ringing, ain't nobody home. Cameron, goodbye. You're part of that weakest link too. Since Cameron did not grow a pair and do the right thing by taking care of these officers that should have been long since investigated and indicted and charged, since you didn't do anything and the Justice Department had to overrule and override your inaction towards this terrible thing that has taken place in the great state of Kentucky, my old Kentucky home, since you didn't do anything, and this man felt very comfortable to leave his hunches in the chair of his position as a police officer, is mighty strange that while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, he decided, I need to retire. Foolishness. And take the money, and don't let him have one plug nickel. That's my opinion. So I'm looking at that. We need to change this whole process. Our word on yesterday was abolition, and I'm identifying and understanding that as the young man was spitting and talking in his 60-second presentation, abolition 101, the system is doing exactly what it was designed to do. So we're very, very aware of that. We're very aware of that. They about to blow the whistle after the investigation. I'm telling you, BTD mom, this is the thing, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. The people that really, the blowing the whistle right now, you got all kinds of stories popping up, and people are talking, and people are speaking, people are sharing, people are finally coming forward. I'm going to look at it and give it a little bit of side eye, because why weren't you doing it before? But nonetheless, I keep trying to tell myself, but Regina, we're here now. Spiritual thought leader, we're here now. So let's take the now. Don't talk about the past. Don't get caught up in the past. We're here now. But I hope that some of that is not the result of people fearing that something about them's gonna come out. So let me come out ahead of the game and get my little 2 cents in here and try to look like I'm part of those that I want to be a whistleblower and tell you what was really going. Well, what had really happened was, well, you see, what had really happened was, and I feel and hope that that's not going to be a case of people trying to get themselves out from under. If I can just be a part of the what looks like the culture that's coming out and saying we blow whistles, we tell stories, we leak video, we tell what they saying behind closed doors and all of that. But nonetheless, all of it is working towards bringing us to a place of change. I'll take it, I guess, whatever way we can get it. Now, speaking of that, while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, I'm so glad again that the case of Ahmaud Arbery, those those three men that walked around scot free after executing this young man, those individuals are now going to be charged with hate crimes. Hate crimes. Yes, more of that, please. Hate crimes. Because at the end of the day, they got them for kidnapping. And I'm looking and I'm saying, why did it take so long for us to get some kind of justice? But I'm going to go back to President Biden, and the Justice Department under Brother Garland. Brother Garland, like, I'm not playing with y'all. I'm going to get those legs. I'm going to get those legs. I'm not playing with y'all. So we're finally starting to see some action come down. Okay, you're not going to do it in the great state of Georgia. You're not going to handle your business. You're not going to do it in the great state of Kentucky. I love the idea that we're coming out with different options and ways and means to begin to prosecute some of these bad players that really should have been handled a long time ago. But the country continued on in our racist ways. But at this point and place in time, we're not having it. I think this is good because I really feel many of the cases that we have seen in the past years, but particularly in the past year, 2020, 2021, I feel like many of them have had racial overtones, even though a lot of times we don't want to address that. So I love the idea that we're starting to see, just like in the civil rights cases of the 60s, I'm loving that now in the civil rights cases of the 2021s and the 2020s, that we're coming back to the point that some of these are blatant and flagrant violations of people's civil rights. They have had their civil rights violated. And see, we are the three just now facing charges for killing a jogging. Listen, and that's what I'm saying, BTD mom, just now facing charges for killing a jogging brother. So at the end of the day, you know, I am liking the reality that we're finally starting to see some civil rights charges being charged, and rightfully so. Because listen, genocide against Black people is only going to stop when there's some consequences. Genocide against Black and brown bodies, against Asian and AAPI bodies, is only going to stop when people start filing charges, not just with these little mamby-pamby on the lower level, but let's go for the jugular. Civil rights are being violated. And this, if I go back to Idaho, yes, BTD mom, they were testifying. Idaho. These individuals that want to make it a law, you can't teach about racist past. You can't teach about any, because you don't want to acknowledge that this has been a racist country all along. And I'm going to tell you what, when we go and sit with other countries, and as I said the other day, and we want to talk about them, we want to sanction them, we want to slap their little hands for civil rights and human rights violations. Sit down, America. Sat down. Sat all the way down. Have all the seats, because you are one of the worst, if not the worst, offenders. And the reason why the numbers don't reflect it is because you won't charge it. You will not press charges and find these people guilty of the civil rights violations that they are committing. And so at the end of the day, we may look like a rose and smell like a peach, but our drawers are black and dirty and our tail is hanging out. So when I look at us, I'm happy that we're finally getting some legislation or some charges that are really appropriate. We need to log and lodge civil rights charges and complaints and win, because these are actual violations. It ain't my mind. Don't talk to me. Y'all keep wanting to play the race card. It is the race card. Good morning, Gloria Fudge. Good to see you. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad that you're home. You had COVID for 14 days. God bless, sis. I'm so glad you're home, and I'm so glad that you're well. And we're just going to pray and believe God for continued healing to your body, healing to every fiber of your being, from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet. I'm so glad you made it home. I'm so glad you made it home. So God bless you. God bless you, sis. The students in Idaho have have Google. They have Google, SK. They will not be ignorant of the truth. And so at the end of the day, this is the thing. You keep wanting to try to legislate any way you can, any way, shape, or form, to try to come out smelling like a rose and keep this false narrative that America's not a racist country. Man, when they came out and said that the other day, I could have just felt, it's not a racist. What do you mean it's not a racist country? We are the leader of the pack. And we, again, while we want to talk about everybody else's atrocities, sweep around your own back door before you try to sweep around mine. At the end of the day, and yes, Google's out there. Google is out there, SK. And so you have, now that being said, while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, I'm not going to talk a lot on this one, because I'm not buying the narrative that one of the newspapers is, or online media outlets is saying. Teresa, Tim Scott said last night that we are not a racist country. Lie. Why you always lying? I got to do my own sound effects since I don't have. That would be what I would play right there, Teresa. Why you always lying? Because that's a lie straight from the pit of hell. And so, Tim, could it be? Where's Malcolm? Could it be the devil? Bum, bum, bum. That ain't nothing but that old slimy devil. We are racist and have been racist since forever. So quit lying. Quit lying. Ain't nobody buying what you selling. I ain't buying what you selling. No, I'm not. I'm not buying what you selling. So at the end of the day, ain't nothing but that old slimy devil, rebel. Ain't nothing but that old slimy devil. We are able to get away with some of that, though, you all, because we're not documenting accurately the cases of racism, discrimination, and hate crimes and violence that's going on. It gets swept under the radar. So we look pretty, but we smell funky. Yes, I'm talking about the US of A. We look pretty. If I want to look at the documents and the numbers, we look pretty, but we smell stink. So at the end of the day, I'm glad that these three men are finally, why did it take so long? That's all I want to know. Why did it take so long? But okay, they're finally being tried for hate crimes. And I say kudos to that. All right. It remains to be seen what the outcome is going to be. But at the end of the day, yes, SK, Tim Scott is not a SK. Listen, this is yes, you all cubed one-on-one, just me and you. This is why I enjoy having conversation, because y'all's comments, the things that y'all say to me, in our morning conversation. It gives me whole life, not term life. Y'all give me whole life up in this. SK, SK, you on your roll today. You SK is back, y'all. SK is back. She had been quiet for a few days, but she's back, y'all. She's back. I love it. I love it. Now, while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, one of the things that they're talking about now, and you may hear a little bit more about it. Oh, before I go there, let me go back to, I started to touch on this, but I moved away. I'm not going to say a lot because I don't believe the story. There is an internet company that has a plethora of Pentagon accounts. And I'm gonna put this out here, and because I'm got my sleuths, I'm gonna put my Teresa. I need folks like you, Teresa. I need SK. I need Monica L. Smith. I need Nancy Jackson. I don't know, Nancy, if you're out there or not. I need my sleuths that send me information. Go out there and look up this corporation. It hasn't hit him. Come on here. Come on. Come on. Uh, I want you all to go out there and look this story that was a small little piece this morning from While We Slumbered, Slept, and Slobbered about this little internet company that they believe is some kind of shell company that has the huge majority of Pentagon accounts. They don't know from whence it came. I mean, it's just a shroud of mystery, but it has such, as a matter of fact, I want to say it has the majority of the accounts that they're trying to understand where it came from. It's been in existence. They said 3 days before Trump left office, this company popped up and got all these Pentagon accounts. Now, at the end of the day, 3 days before Trump left office, they're trying to say, and this is why I'm going to say as little as possible because there's not enough info for me and it bears a little bit more digging into. They're trying to say this is what the Pentagon, our government, did as a means of being able to have something that they can do incognito to track and deal with Pentagon business, and that it's actually the government that has made this little shell company. I know this is shady stuff, shady boots, shady boots, shady boots. So they're trying to say it's the government. My thing is 3 days before Trump got out, the company is registered in Florida, flags all over the place, red flags all over the place. The devil Trump, come on. The whole scenario. Oh, let me let my baby out. My baby got it. He's sitting there like, Aunt Jean, do you see me? I guess he's getting ready to go to work, and I'm just sitting here carrying on conversation. He's like, will you let me out of my driveway? Will you let me out of my garage? So I'm gonna pull off, and I'm still talking while I'm driving, y'all. I'm still talking. That's how bad I am, y'all. I can talk and drive all at the same time. Now, at the end of the day, I'm sitting here and I am of the mindset, people, that you gonna have a little bit of a issue with me being convinced that this is the government's doing. 3 days before Trump left, it's in Florida, and we just don't have enough information. And I'm still trying to understand how you have the majority of Pentagon. Now, we ain't just talking about I got some little company out here somewhere. We're talking about the Pentagon. So that was a quick little hot story that popped up this morning. I'm only going to say that it bears watching, and I want to hear more about it so that I can talk more fully on it. What I do have a problem with, when small companies that came from out of nowhere, how in the whole heaven and earth did they get the majority of the Pentagon contract accounts? How did this small company from nowhere come up? And I hear the story, it's just a shell. But this is what happens. Then we come back 5 years from now, and then they'll have an Iran Contra story, Iran Contras, about how all of this went on underneath our noses, and that little shell company was really a whole nother monster created. And I'm like, no, 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 no. We need full disclosure. We need to understand. And at the end of the day, again, a 7-month-old company gets the majority of the contracts and we don't know nothing about it. No, no, and no again. I'm with you, SK. That it doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right. So that's one of those little small stories that happened to pop up this morning. And that's how these, hey, Watergate, when Watergate first started, it was a little story over here, Deep Throat, meeting with some folks, a little story over here. It starts as a little bitty story, and then the next thing you know, it blows up into some massive something. But I'm like, how does a brand new company that's only 7 months old and really no life, it's 7 months in existence at this point, but you talk about a brand new company. Minutes before Trump left office, millions of the Pentagon's documents and IP addresses sprang to life. Oh, thank you. Listen, I just want y'all to know, Teresa Jones, I need to have something for my sleuths that get on it. Cause listen, she gets the tea, she gets the 411, she gets your coffee ready for you. Thank you, Teresa. Minutes before Trump left office, millions of the Pentagon's dormant IP addresses sprang to life. Thank you so much. And this is what I'm saying. Something is rotten in Denmark. Something stinks. Something is not right. So you all pay attention, put your ear to the ground, listen to what's going on. Because listen, I don't want it coming back to bite us like Gomer Pyle. Surprise, surprise, surprise. I don't want surprises. These millions of accounts that sprang to life minutes before he left office, where did they come from and what's going on? What's up with that? What's up with that? What's up with that? So you guys pay attention. Pay attention. Stacy, the address of the business is not Mar-a-Lago. The address actually said there, it gave and used the name of a man, same name, same company name, of a company that went defunct and went dark a few years back, has the same man's name as the CEO, as the leader of the organization. Same company address. It's not Mar-a-Lago, but I got where you're going with that. Does it happen to be Trump's address? I'm with you on that, and I get the tongue in cheek. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to recall the information. But at bare minimum, Trump is stupid. He's not that stupid. Well, yeah, he's that stupid. He might have went ahead and used the Mar-a-Lago address. But at the end of the day, it is fishy. Fishy. You hear me? Fishy. So keep your eyes and your ears open, and I'm going to look forward to Global Resource Systems. Thank you. Oh, that was it. It came back as an LLC. That was the thing, Teresa. Instead of the way it was incorporated prior, it came back as an LLC. But otherwise, it's the same exact company name and everything else. You all going to see me back up because I got neighbors come out looking at me like they think I'm trying to scope out their little houses or whatever. So let me pull back and get back in my nephew's yard, child, because the Saints are coming out. Y'all gonna be sitting here watching me, and all of a sudden the popo gonna pull up on me, and I'm gonna be the next son. No, I'm not even gonna speak that because we ain't gonna deal with the popo out here. I'm out here in the neighborhood where it's not a whole lot of us of color with melanin. So, honey, they done started coming out their houses and looking and all of that. So let me back up in my nephew's yard so they can know from whence I belong. All right. So there you go. Sorry if y'all had to look up my nostrils as I was backing up. So at the end of the day, it's fishy. It needs to be paid attention to. And thank you for putting that up there, Teresa. Global Resources System. And it came back as an LLC. Otherwise, everything else is the same as it was before. Or Putin, who knows, SK? Because at this point, there's all kinds of colluding and getting in the bed with folk from nation to nation, that it's all kind of questions and suspicion that needs to come up. So I don't know. I just wanted to put that bug in you all's ear that it was 56 million. Girl, y'all better come on here. Y'all better come on here and give Teresa some, because Teresa is giving us the 411 even as I speak. 56 million IP addresses owned by the Pentagon. 3 months later, the total was nearly 175 million. See, this is what happens. The people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Y'all got to pay attention and stay woke. Stay woke. So at the end of the day, you got to deal with the reality. Something ain't right. Now that I can say, I can't tell you exactly what's going on because I don't know what's going on, but help yourself, Teresa. I know that's right, Rebel, because she is the research sister. Teresa Jones got the 411. She does not play. I'm so glad she's helping me on this story, because when I read it, I was like, and I want to see what you got too, Teresa, because the part that I read was still very, very sketchy. You got a lot more details than what I have. And I was like, this story doesn't sound right. This story does not sound right. So this came out while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered. We had 175 million Pentagon IP addresses that are out here with some little company that ain't nobody ever heard of. Now, Houston, and I'm in Dallas. Houston, there is a problem. Houston, there is a problem. So I want you to pay attention and be alert and be aware, because at the end of the day, something ain't right. I just wanted to bring that to your attention this morning. And some of you all, like my sister Teresa, you're the kind of folk that'll go out there and really research it and stay on top of it and get it done. I'm paying attention because I don't want any surprises, and it reeks of something funky to me. Now, Rudy Giuliani. Yes, the running man, the running man. Y'all remember all of that dye or whatever that was running down the side of his head? The running man is finally getting some investigating. And his son came out sounding just as crazy as I don't know what. IPv4, where such large chunks are worth billions of dollars on the open market. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you. And you with me, sis. Keep on feeding it to me. Send it to me. And I'm researching myself, because I just had a quick glance at it this morning, and it caught my eye. It was a very small article that I read, but it caught my eye and got my whole attention, because in my opinion, like you said, IPv4, large chunks that's worth all kind of billions of dollars on the open market. Somebody needs to pay attention to what's going on, without a doubt. Somebody needs to pay attention to that. What's really going on? That's what Marvin Gaye said. What's going on? I'm glad that Rudy is finally getting his just due, because Rudy needs to have been investigated long ago. So his son gets out and says, where else does the special counsel to the president, where else does the past mayor list off all of his litany of past holdings? Good morning. Oh, I feel a shout down in my shondo. Good morning, Michelle Brownell. Good to see you this morning. So where else do we potentially investigate people that have been at these high levels of status? It should have been happening the whole time, my little brother. Nobody is above the law. Nobody is above the law. If I was in my studio, I'd play the shout right here, Michelle Brownell. Nobody is above the law. Nobody. So if you do actions that warrant investigating, you should be investigated. So Rudy doesn't come out because at this point he looks so ignorant and has been looking ignorant for who knows how long. His son comes out and has a press conference. Good morning, Nathan Lamont. No, Nathan, you did not win Grandpa Holmes's chair. I know. Everybody tell Michelle good morning. We are so happy to have you here this morning, Michelle. All kinds of love to you, dear. All kinds of love coming at you. Now, at the end of the day, I am grateful that the investigations have finally kicked up a notch because they need to. And then this is his closing, the son, and he has to drop this. They came in and took my father's this. They came in and took my father's that. He names off they took everything but the evidence that they should have taken, which was Hunter Biden's laptop. Hunter Biden's laptop. These people are desperate. Do you hear me? These people are desperate. Well, it's reported to me that a lot of these folks now are starting to get uncomfortable as they're kicking up. Because listen, I told you, brother in Department of Justice is like, I ain't playing with y'all. I'm going to get them legs. I'm going to get them legs. As they should have. As the former Department of Justice should have. But William Barr refused to take any action on any of this stuff. So we finally have Garland that's coming in saying, I'm not playing with y'all. We're going to deal, if you going to do the crime, you just might do the time. And we're going to come and investigate. We're going to come and confiscate. We're going to come and get every piece, every iota, every drop of information and detailed data that we can get our hands on, because somebody needs to go to jail. A whole lot of somebodies need to go to jail. So his son comes out, and I'm going to tell you straight up, point blank, the whole purpose of that entire press conference was to make his poor little daddy the victim. Which we all, if you got any sense at all, if you got any kind of following the stories and what has transacted under 45's administration, and I mean, you almost have to wonder, what was this man doing before? Because, some people say, well, when you get in positions and titles and money, it starts corrupting you. I don't know that this man wasn't corrupt to begin with. So I'm just, that's a total change of character. All of the singing of his praises as the mayor and to turn out, and this is the kind of person and this is the kind of character that you manifest. And I don't believe that getting the opportunity to serve as special counsel to Trump made you put your hands down in your pants with that little girl when you thought she was underage. No, that didn't come about just because you are now working as special counsel. There's certain things about your character. If it was in there, it was in there. And I say this often, as the old folks used to say in my day and time, everything in you got to come out. It was in there. I say that about folks when they drunk and high and everything else. And I didn't mean to say that. I was drunk. Everything in you got to come out. It was in there. The substance just allowed you to have a low enough resistance to holding it back that it slipped over your gums and off your tongue, but it was in there. So Rudy, I'm looking at you, and unfortunately, I'm not buying what your son came out in his press conference to sell. You are not a victim. You are not a victim. And I hope they nail your tail to jail. Yes, nail your tail to jail because you deserve it. So as they've come out and they've started doing the investigating and they're serving and executing search warrants, and the folks are trying to get, I'm clutching my pearls. I'm upset. I just can't believe you're doing this to me. Finally, is all I got to say, because this should have happened a long time ago. And I'm loving Garland more and more by the minute. Keep up the good work. Now, did I talk about I started maybe and didn't finish. There's a Hispanic male, and you may hear this story. While we slumbered, slept, and slobbered on April the 19th, as the verdict for Derek Chauvin in the George Floyd case was coming down, there was a situation where a Hispanic male, I believe he was in California, was detained and put in a very similar chokehold. I know, SK, it's so sad. And subsequently died. And his family is now bringing charges against the police department. So, as I said, black, brown bodies and all hues in between, we have to continue to fight for our civil rights and our civil justice being done, no matter where, no matter when, no matter what. Family is brokenhearted. They finally started releasing some footage of police cam videos. And it's like we can't get over one before we go to the next. And I started, honestly, I started not to tell this story because I'm like, I don't want to keep getting up every day because it's a fill in the blank with the new name, fill in the blank with the new location, fill in the blank with all the different details of age and demographics of whatever. Same story. But I wanted to mention it today because he was still in his 20s, SK. He was still in his 20s. I wanted to mention it today because I don't want us, even as people of color, for those that are, because I do have other ethnicities on this podcast. This is not an all black podcast, even though I do highlight the black experience. And I'm appreciative for all hues and colors on this podcast. I appreciate you. I do not want it to appear that my only focal point, as some would say, is Black Lives Matter. I want us to understand. I'm not getting ready to go the route of demeaning and trying to pull down the idea of Black Lives Matter with all lives matter coming out. So that, but yes, at the same time, all hues of minorities are being accosted and killed in this same way. All hues, all shades of brown, from light brown to dark brown, all hues of brown. And I want to speak for this Hispanic brother, just like I would speak for George Floyd. These chokeholds, these executions on the street, and SK, if you saw the video and if you saw the transcript of the conversation that they were having, because one officer again, and I'm like, oh, okay, is this in the playbook? One officer said, should we turn him on his side? Where we heard that before. Everything just like we heard with George Floyd. So, something in my brain starts clicking and saying, is this conversation, since we know we're being recorded, is this conversation that I'm just throwing out there to try to make sure I CYA? And at the end of the day, the guy is, no, I want to keep him like I got him. I want to keep, and you can hear, even if the one was throwing him a lifeline by saying, we really need to pay attention and we really need to probably put him in another position. And then they started saying, we're using no body weight. Who says that? Who has somebody down on the ground, y'all? And they got you down on the ground and they're saying, we're using no body weight. We're using no body weight. I'm like, come on now. Come on. Are you serious? Are you serious? And you have the man saying, you obviously see him unable to breathe. You obviously see him unresponsive. This is the point I don't understand, because if you're talking about you got to subdue because they're fighting and they're struggling, the man is unresponsive. How is he a threat, and how do you fear for your life when the man is unresponsive? So at the end of the day, could it be? Where's Mount? Could it be the devil? Ba, ba, ba. Ain't nothing but that old slimy devil. And so at the end of the day, I want us to pay attention. Again, we got young white Caucasian brothers fully armed with semi-automatic weapons that you walk them, you give them an escort, and never scratch them after they. Thank you, Nathan Lamont. Thank you. I got to make my own sound effects today. Thank you. You walk them, you take them to Burger King, McDonald's, have it your way, wherever, and give them a burger. Get them some food. Make sure they're well. How about this one? Are you all aware that one of the insurrectionists is getting special food in jail because he can only eat? I mean, like, does everybody get to go out to Whole Foods? Does everybody get to shop at Whole Foods and get served in jail? Y'all playing. Quit playing. Quit playing. So we see all of this with our white Caucasian brothers, and they never get a scratch, not a punch, not a black eye, not a bloody nose, not a broken jaw, not a busted lip. And we vegan food in jail. I'm telling you, Nathan, this man, because he has a special requirement of diet, they have brought this man everything under the sun. And I'm like, y'all ought to quit playing. My question that I just want somebody, please, 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 I feel the spirit of James Brown coming over me. Please, please, please explain to me how you can manage continuously, time and time again, to apprehend these young, racist, violent, murdering, white young men without a scratch, take them in for their day in court, and we cannot get off of the spot where we're sitting alive. This young man, the whole story about this Hispanic brother is an absolute tragedy. Because at the end of the day, when you start talking about excessive force and abuse of force and all of this, it's another classic story. They moved him to a facility that could accommodate his diet, Teresa. I wish that we could go where we want to go when we want to go. You understand what I'm saying? Even as it talked about on yesterday, the industrial prison complex, that whole system of the prison system that has been put in place does not cater to black and brown bodies. I don't care. You can say all day long, I do know some individuals that are incarcerated that have special needs. And what do you think they get? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Say it again. So when I see this kind of stuff happening in our news, it really, really has. Good afternoon, Sister Caressa. Good to see you, Sister Key. It has to cause pause. It has to cause us to pause. Don't tell me you cannot apprehend. And again, I say this time and time again, the police function is not to be judge, executioner, and jury. That's not their job, judge, jury, and executioner. It is not for them to take it upon themselves to execute whatever type of punishment they feel like the individual needs, all the way up to the point of death. And especially, we're talking about unarmed again. We're talking about not posing a threat again. And then we had the report that came out. He had some kind of medical event. Yeah, you had the medical event that you put a chokehold on him and choked him to death, and he ceased breathing because he could not get enough oxygen into his lungs and his heart stopped. That's the medical event that was caused by police officers choking him. Are you kidding me? He had a medical event. I tell you. So, as we are celebrating Derek Chauvin and being found guilty on all three charges, this Hispanic community is just starting their journey again on the 19th of April, and we're just getting to see some of the video, which is completely damning and incriminating to the police. That being said, you still have to deal with even the issue of Brother Brown and the 20 seconds that they finally were able to show to the family. What is the point of having body cameras if you don't have to produce the video? And if you're honest and you don't have anything to hide, because this makes it very suspect, because we all know video tricks and photography, you have all kinds of abilities and opportunities to doctor the videos. And I know, folks, we can say, well, no, they wouldn't do that. We don't know what folks would do, because at this point there is a fear on the part of white supremacy that their days are over. They will do whatever they have to do to try to make it seem and appear that something that absolutely did or did not occur. They will do whatever they can to manipulate that, because right now they're scrambling. Right now they see that their days are numbered. And my thing is, if you put it out there immediately when you don't have time to tamper and play with it, there's no questions asked. How about that? How about that? Just go ahead and put it out there. Speaking of, there is a deputy that now had a TikTok that he released that was mocking police reform. And so this brother, liars who falsify official police reports should be fired immediately. No questions asked, SK. And again, you can't go down the street to the next police department to do your first works over. You can't just retire and draw your pension and go home. And as a matter of fact, these officers involved in the other case, they're administratively relieved of their duty with pay. That ain't nothing but a paid vacation. That is nothing but a paid vacation. How about you withhold their check and don't give them anything until they're proven? So, we approach some of this stuff in such a crazy, crazy manner. If there's enough probable cause that the suspicion is there, and it looks like there's strong evidence that this is what went down, you don't get the money until you prove otherwise, until it's proven otherwise. So this guy, going on to the next story, while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, was picked up because his TikTok has gone viral, and his TikTok shows him mocking the idea of police reform, and this is what they want us to do, and this is how they want us to act, and yada yada yada. So now the police department has dismissed him pending investigation, and there's another police officer that is potentially involved in this TikTok debacle by these officers who feel emboldened to get on social media. And I'm like, if you put it out there in social media, deal with it from the standpoint of whatever you got to deal with, because at this stage of the game, listen, you put it out there, deal with what you put out. No admin leave with pay, Stacy. That's what I'm saying. Don't do it. Don't give it to them. So I brought up the story about the TikTok scenario because this officer was with rank. But I look at and think back to what we talked about on yesterday as far as abolition. If they're cracking jokes and making light, I'm talking about the police officers, if they're cracking jokes and making light of the idea of reform, what is the purpose of trying to go that route? Obviously, as Stacy 546 has been saying, as I agree, and even as abolitionists are putting out there, the system is doing exactly what the system was designed to do. If you start talking about reform and the people that you're talking about reforming are cracking jokes and making crazy videos and putting it out on TikTok, and making light and making fun, and downgrading it, and degrading it every way they possibly can. Do you really think these individuals can be reformed? Do you really think these kinds of individuals can be reformed? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And they're showing their true colors, live and in living color on TikTok. And maybe this police officer thought he was not going to get monitored on TikTok. They weren't going to see what he had going on TikTok. I don't know. This is insanity. It almost goes back now. That kind of brings back the Ahmaud Arbery case, because George McAllister, whatever the Joker's name was, he's trying to come out and say he released the video because he wanted the people to see the truth. Good morning, Dog Lex. Good morning to you, and blessings upon blessings to you, my sister. Come on, partner. Come on in the house. Now he's trying to say, and the attorney is trying to say he released the video because he wanted people to see what really happened, as if that's a defense of some sort. Like he wasn't trying to hide anything. He wanted the people to see what it. Come on, y'all. This whole ability and design to twist the narrative and make a whole alternative reality, I'm sick of that. So I feel like this. Sometimes I do feel some of these racist brothers and sisters have had free reign and free liberty to go out here and do whatever they want to do, and then get a high five on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok, on these other platforms, and they're really flaunting what they did as a badge. Stacy, any officer who makes or participates in any derogatory video, automatic termination. I agree with you all day long, sis. But they're investigating. Now you got the TikTok video live and in living color, but they're investigating. I feel like the high five that has been in the past experienced by these racist individuals, I'm gonna put it on Facebook so people can see it. And then even sometimes under the cloak and veil of secrecy, but then somebody leaks it out. I feel like you need to be dealt with, as Stacy said, immediately. Why should we investigate and ask a bunch of questions? I saw what I saw. It's the same scenario with George Floyd. We saw what we saw. What's to investigate? We see it right here, and you were bold enough. You were big enough. And you were bad enough to put it out there. Now deal with it. Don't come whining and snotting and crying like some little 2-year-old child who just soiled their pants in potty training. If you're big enough, bad enough, and bold enough to put it out there, deal with the consequences. So this is a case, while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, that is getting some traction and some attention, because what it really highlights is that we're talking about reform, and the people that we're talking about reforming are out here making videos in mockery. Make that make sense. The people that we're out here talking about reforming are out here making videos in mockery. So it just all begs to be answered. Is that really the direction that we want to go? Because while we have one less than intelligent individual that puts this TikTok out there, how many silent people on the force that are not ignorant enough to put a TikTok video out there feel the same way he does? That's where the rubber's going to meet the road. I just may not be ignorant. Yes, I said ignorant enough to put a video out there, but I may have the exact sentiments that this brother is expressing in his video. Can I really, really, really expect that to be rehabbed? Can I really expect that to be changed? Can I really expect ignorant Nathan Lamont, ignorant, they ignorant. But he's not the only one that has that view. He's not the only one that feels that way. So how are we going to get that? And we're talking again about the whole issue of it. And he's blatantly talking about police reform. He's blatantly, overtly talking about police reform and stupidity and derogatorily tearing it down and making a straight up mockery of it. Do we really believe that there's a potential for reform in the department when the brass comes out making stupid videos? Are we teasing and fooling ourselves? We got to really rethink this at a whole nother level. So I wanted to pull that out again because we talked about abolitionists and abolitionism on yesterday as our word of the day. I'm going to encourage you. I'm not trying to tell you what to think or how to think. Let every man be persuaded in his own mind. But at the end of the day, these are further revelations that are coming to light that says we got to rethink our approach, people. We really need to stop and think about this. What is the way that we need to handle it? Because if y'all are taking it as a big joke, do I even want to waste my time? Is it a waste of my time to go down the road of reform? And I'm going to go back to Stacy and myself. If the foundation is rotten, I don't care what you build on top of it. It's not going to be right. Do your first works over. Tear it up and do your first works over. Just do it right this time. So I was dismayed to see that while I slept and slumbered, that was one of the stories that broke this morning. I was dismayed because when you see leadership acting foolishly, you can understand what happens in the trickle down effect. So at the end of the day, that's out there. Take note of it. I'm trying to see what else. Oh, now coming to COVID-19. Yesterday, I'm gonna deal with that. I'm gonna jump right back to the idea of President Biden's speech, and it has been the tradition heretofore that there would be a Hispanic interpretation that would be given for the Hispanic community by the Republicans in their response. For whatever reason, as of yesterday, on all fronts, they have said to the Hispanic community, you will just have to wait until you get an interpretation, until you get a translation, a transcription rather. Let me get the right word that I want to use here. Until you get a transcription of what was said, which has been in the past a courtesy to the Hispanic community. Some could argue, well, are you going to translate for all the different communities and da 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 da? At the end of the day, I do want to address from this angle, we do have a large population of Hispanic Americans in this country. I do think that it's fair, just like a lot of times when you call in now on various automated lines for English, press 1, for Spanish, press 2, for whatever. I do also with that want to stress the truth of the matter that there are many people of Spanish and Hispanic descent that were natives of this country. Not just Native Americans. When we say natives and we only think of Indians as native, but there are many Hispanics that were natives of this country also. I find it very bold that we, as all immigrants to this country, one way or another, however we got here, as immigrants to this country, both to Native Americans, whether they be Hispanic in origin or whether they be Native Indian in origin, how it is we are so bold and brazen to feel like they need to cower down and cater to us. And we have no responsibility to make things available to those populations when they were here first. What are you doing? They were here first. So as we go through this time, I have to question on the part of the Republicans, is this a racist retaliation against the large Hispanic population that we have going on? Again, reflecting back to my earlier story about the young Hispanic man that is now coming to the fore as having been the Hispanic version of George Floyd that happened on April the 19th, even as we were getting a verdict in on the murderer of George Floyd. Are we now retaliating against Hispanics as well? The one thing that I will say to that, I have noted and I have taken a tremendous notice to, because Hispanics, some have tried to assimilate with the Caucasian and white community. There has been that level of trying to distance themselves and separate themselves from color and colorism. And at this point, what the status quo is showing very poignantly is that your skin is still browner than brown that we want to deal with. And at the end of the day, we will treat you just like we treating everybody else with brown skin in our white supremacy. So I am saddened that this is the approach that it appears that they're taking. But at the end of the day, I feel like this is a straight up retaliatory action being taken against them. And so I want to say to all of my Hispanic brothers and sisters that have tried to assimilate, even to the level I've had the racist behavior backlash of Hispanics that tried to look, act, and walk and talk as if they're white. I want you to hear what America, the United States of America, white supremacy is saying to you loudly and clearly: you still brown. And that's what I want to say about that. So that has been noted. The Hispanic community has expressed their upset about it, but the Republicans have done what the Republicans have chosen to do. And there you have it. Now, I'm going to get ready to close out. Makia's family, Micaiah's family, about the shooting and the failure on the part of the foster care system. They have now lodged some formalized complaint about both, which I think rightfully so. And this is the blood family of Micaiah, who again was in foster care. We talked about it on yesterday. Did she lose all her rights because I'm talking about Micaiah? Did she lose all her rights because she was in foster care? When she's at that foster home, that's where she lives. And my whole element and concept of you have a right to defend yourself, you have a right to defend where you live, all of that apparently just went out the window because she was in foster care. Where is the foster care system and making sure that our children that are in the system are being taken care of appropriately? You can't just drop somebody off with their baggage at somebody's house and keep on moving without going back to check on those children. So at the end of the day, the family is bringing up the issue and formally addressing what failed them in the foster care system, as well as the whole scenario of the shooting. I think that's appropriate. I think for me, it needs to be answered. Where is your part in responsibility to what happened to our child while she was in your care? I don't care if they are in the foster care system, they still belong to somebody. They still have a family. And we don't always know. Don't be quick to judge. My mother happened to be taken into care It wasn't so much a matter of a foster care system um, back in her day like we have now, but it was just a caring family that saw these children needed to be cared for and they had no one to care for them and just took them in. Subsequently, in future years, as the foster care system evolved, I believe that home ended up being a home to over 200 plus foster care children that came into their home and found safety and security and well-being. My mother stayed in with a family in their care from the time that she was 12 years old after her mother died until she married my dad. There are a lot of people that for whatever reasons need to be in care outside of their biological family, and we should not assume just because they're in foster care. You don't know why they're in foster care. You don't know what the circumstances are, and at the end of the day, those circumstances are still impacting a minor that still needs care. That's still a minor child. They still are children. You cannot just discard them like a piece of trash and throw them away, drop them off, and go on about your never mind and have no real concern and care about what's going on with this child in this home. I feel the pain of the family. And again, I'm gonna keep saying it. We don't know why she was in foster care, and quite frankly, it ain't none of nobody's business what was going on in that home. It was deemed by the state, and I will say this: I know personally of situations where children were taken out of the home and put in foster care, and there were family members that were willing, ready, and able to take charge and care for those children, and they were denied. Not because it wasn't a good home, they were denied and not allowed. Because let's keep a spade, call a spade a spade. You get paid more in foster care. Now, this is the truth, and I'm not making this up. This is something about the system we need to address. And I haven't seen the full formal complaint that the family is lodging against the foster care, other than you obviously failed this baby in this scenario. But I will say I can see as a potential something that I know to have been a factor in foster care. They will pay the foster care parents more than they will pay family members for care of that same child. Now, hear me when I say this. This ain't no. I'm talking what I know. This isn't made up, and we need to start screaming bloody murder. I know of an individual, a family built a brand new house from foster care because they were making bank. So this is the reality. The family wanted the child, but it will pay the family like $16 a day for the child's care. Well, what can you do? Anybody that's got a child, you know you can't do nothing with $16. Versus, and this is going to be agency by agency, state by state, versus rather somebody else in foster care, a foster parent for that same child. Now we'll give the family 16. You heard what I said. And this is a real case. So these aren't made up numbers. This is a real case. $16 a day for the family to keep this child. And the foster care family gets $125 a day for that same child. Now, if that's not an inequity, and if that's not a gross disparity, and again, when you got family members that say, okay, I'll go ahead and take the child, give me the $16, which is still not enough to keep the child. I still feel like we need to challenge, and number one, we need to standardize this mess across the board. You shouldn't be able to go to one agency and one thing and another. I mean, it's just crazy stuff. At the end of the day, why would you pay and give support of, and I really want to say support of and take away pay, because it's not like something that you're paying for. Why would you give support of a child in the area of $16 to the family, but you'll give a stranger $125 for support of that same child? Stupid. Stupid. And these are the scenarios that need to be addressed, talked about, and rectified. And I will say, I do know of instances where it has been reported to me by very good sources that children that do not have some place to be placed at the time that they're taken into foster care, being taken back to the offices and given substandard places to lay down and go to sleep and stay there in subpar, substandard, not really housing at all offices until they can find a family for placement. It's wrong. And we need to deal with it. And it's happening largely and predominantly with Black and brown children. And then let's go here. Some of the placement that they end up in, they may be taken out of urban area and then be placed with a family that doesn't look like them, has no understanding of the culture or anything else, in some little small rural or suburban location, to where the children have absolutely no affiliation or association to anything that's going on in that environment. The child doesn't respond to them, the people don't respond to the child, and it's like, okay, we got them someplace. And at the end of the day, you're still looking at the disparity between, if there are family members that are qualified and willing to take that child, place that child there, and give them the $125 support. But no, this is the thing. There's a fear, and I'm going to deal with the reality of that. There's a fear that if I give this urban relative that may live in the urban core but is willing to take care of the child, and that is also some stereotyping, because always it's not always that they're in the urban core. They may be in other areas and locations that would be just as conducive but still get denied the right to take care of that child. But there's that fear. If I give it to Black and brown bodies, they're going to take this money and do something with it. Almost like the stimulus checks, that little lousy $600 check. What are you going to do with $600? And you got people running around. You don't know what they're going to do with that money. They just laying up and be. No, $600 does not meet my need. $600 is not going to make me rich. $600 is just pittance. And you got this fear that somebody's going to get a hold of this money and they're not going to do right with it. So $16 a day, but you'll send them out here to this urban and rural area to people that could care less, or put them someplace where people don't care, pay them good money, and then we end up with dead children. So, we got to pay attention. We got to pay attention. We need to pay attention, because children in our foster care system still need our support, and we can't just let them be out there thrown to the dogs. So I'm glad to hear, and that's my little rant for a second. Thank you for enduring me in my folly, but I've seen it. I've heard workers who are in the system who are very frustrated by it, and the system is dominated largely by old white women. The same way that old white men run the government, old white women run and head up many of these foster care agencies. And it needs to be addressed. It needs to be talked about. I'm glad that her parents are bringing it up as an issue. I hope that they get some traction from it. And there you have it. Now that may have lulled some of y'all right on into sleep, but I had to get that off my chest, because the foster care system is something that, again, I have some personal attachment to, from personal experience. Please take care of the babies. Please take care of the babies. And all of them in the system are not being taken care of. Now, I'm going to get on out of here. The lady, I'm going to close with this, and then my word for the day. The lady that wrote the lie and the story in the New York Post about Kamala Harris and the books resigned. So while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, she came out and said she was forced. She wished she had done harder in her fight to not write and publish this story about Kamala Harris. But she's alleging that she was forced by the newspaper to write this article and publish it. Subsequently, she has resigned. Now, if you believe she was forced to write the article, put a one. If you think she's lying through her teeth to save face, put a two. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. She's saying, I didn't want to write it. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it, but they forced me. They told me I had to do it. I had to write it. And subsequently, she's resigned and gone on about her business. Now, y'all tell me if you think she really was forced by these people to write this article, and she said she knew when she was writing it, it was a lie. But again, under duress, and has quit her job and gone on about her merry way as a result. I personally feel like she saw the handwriting on the wall. She knew that she had been caught in a lie and it was about to blow up in her face. And Sister Girl did a cut and run. Oh, you say 1.5 BTD, Mom, there's a possibility. Okay, I'm gonna let you have that 1.5. I'm gonna let you, but it's almost a two. It's closer to a two than it is a one. I got your BTD, Mom. I think the woman is trying to cover herself. She's trying to save face, in my opinion. Because at the end of the day, as a journalist and as a writer, as an author, the integrity that I feel needs to be on in your pen. The integrity. Nathan Lamont, you on that 1.52. I see you. Stacy, 2. Doglegs, why didn't she resign from the beginning? I'm just trying to say, Royal confessions, she was forced while being paid. I don't believe the woman, and I got you. That is all day long. I'm with you, Royal confessions, while being paid. You making money. At the end of the day, this blew up, and it blew up with the quickness. They hurried up and quashed that story. And I'm loving it because if you remember, during 45's administration, that story, it would have hit. When I told you all about it yesterday morning, they had already quashed it. They'd already squashed it. If you recall, however, in days gone by under 45's administration, it's questionable, Teresa. Teresa, sis, I just feel like if you're a journalist and you're worth your weight in salt, you know the power of the pen. And the power of the pen is rooted and grounded in integrity. If you're going to write a whole falsified story, I'm with Doglegs. She could have resigned before she wrote the story. She could have resigned from the beginning. Why you always lying? That's the sound effect I would play right now. I feel like it's a lie. And I understand y'all 1.5 and it's questionable, but the integrity. She received a I'm done. She received a resignation payment, Royal confessions. Yeah. And so at the end of the day, I'm like, again, the power of the pen. A lot of the issue of the power of the pen is that integrity must be at the root. Let me put the camera up. I hope y'all ain't been looking at my nose the whole time. I hate videos. I hate podcasts where the person got the phone down all low and you just steadily looking up their nose the whole time. It's like, sister, brother, would you please move the phone? I said, I don't want to look at your nostrils. I don't want to look at your nostrils. I'm not trying to see your brain. At the end of the day, maybe it was a way to get her out. I don't know, Teresa. I disagree. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. You have the ability, and unless you are held at gunpoint, which I seriously doubt, unless you are held at gunpoint, nobody can make you write anything. So I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're And you might be right. You might be right. I might be follow the money. She was a tool. She was a tool being used. The idea was to push this story out here and let it infect the public. But what had happened was, you see, what had happened was, it's not the administration of 45. You don't have X number of days to let that lie float on the wind. They shut it down. They shut it down before it could get started. So once it backfired, and that's the thing they keep saying about these two stories that they put out. The story that she put out about Kamala, and as well as the story that the president's not going to let y'all have any meat. These folks are insane. Do you hear me? They're crazy. They are cray cray. So at the end of the day, they tried to float these stories. She's a two trying to be a one, Stacey. And Stacey is an author. Stacey is a legitimate author. She has several books out in the market for you all to purchase. If you want to buy a book from Stacey, connect up with her. If you're in Twitch, you can whisper her. Other folk, you can find her. Get a hold to her. She is an author. You understand the power of the pen. She was a tool being used. She is a tool being used, and a tool being used, as Royal Confessions say, is called a hoe. And as of today's podcast, I think she lives in Idaho. She raised her hand. She said, Idaho, Idaho. Hey, Idaho, Idaho. And ain't no racism here. Raw confessions. You got hairy confessions, hairy decisions on the day. What documentation did she present to support her story? Isn't that part? Listen, and that's what Doglegs, Idaho. You missed the earlier portion. Idaho, Idaho, Idaho. You from the great state of Idaho. So at the end of the day, you know, I'm looking, I'm not buying what she's selling. And BTG Mom, to your statement, they took away under Ronald Reagan. I touched on this yesterday. Under Ronald Reagan, I'm going to call his name because everybody wants to give him all the praise and all the accolades and everything. There was a lot of dastardly things that happened under the administration of Ronald Reagan to set in motion what we've seen come to pass in these current times. So they did away with the rules that said you had to have fair reporting, you had to be able to fact check, it had to be truthful, and you had to tell both sides of a story. You couldn't just, you had to, even if you're telling in an op-ed in your opinion, whatever the case may be, you still have to present both sides of a story. Under Ronald Reagan, they did away with that. And that's when I said, if you remember, the people like Murdoch then got the opportunity, because you remember you start coming out with all these news agencies and all of the on both cable network news and newspapers, internet, as it began to take root. Murdoch and others like him went out and they began to monopolize and buy up all these companies of where you get your news and information from. And so they were able to tell their narratives the way that they wanted to tell it. And you didn't have to fact check. You didn't have to show or have any documentation. I'm going to say it one more time today. I want us to recognize that at the end of the day, this is how all of this fake news has come about. And again, being put in motion. I got the time. Thank you. Honey, y'all see my engineer flash that time up there to let me know. Girl, shut up. I really want us to understand the dynamics of all of that. That's why I encourage you. If you really want to know, find reputable sources. I talk, and I mentioned her on yesterday, about Heather Cox Richardson, particularly if you're talking about government, if you're talking about current events. She does an excellent job of not only giving balanced reporting, but she also fact checks, where she puts the links of her sources where you can go back and fact check that stuff. Do that for yourself. Otherwise, I'm telling you, time out. Dog legs put you in timeout. I want you to understand that the reporting no longer has to do that. That's what allows these individuals to be used as a tool. And she basically said, Idaho, 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 right here, Idaho. And since I done got paid and I show me the money, since I done got paid and did what y'all paid me to do, I'm out of here. So I want us to really, really pay attention. Again, this is all some, in my opinion, masterminding and some playing of games. Because again, I'm gonna say one more time, the thing that we gotta always pay attention to as people that write, the power of the pen is powerful. If you're not gonna walk in integrity, if you're not gonna write in integrity, don't do it. So there you have it. Okay, I'm out of here because they y'all breathing down my neck, Rebel, breathing down my. No, I've had a good time. I will. I appreciate you all. I will be back in the studio. I thank you all for enduring me this morning out of the studio in my car. I'm having a great time in my car. The weather is starting to clear up here just a little bit. When I came out, there was literally a flood of water running down the street that you couldn't walk in. And Idaho, that's it, Teresa Jones. Idaho, that's what she's saying. Idaho. Okay, I got paid, y'all. Idaho. The water is starting to recede on both sides, and it's looking beautiful. I want to appreciate you again, my sound effects and everything else. I love you guys. I wanted to come out because every morning, like I told you, y'all make my day. You really, really do. This is a great way to start my day, even with some family and friends that are going through some trauma right now. You know, keep one another up in prayer. Pray for each other. Let's keep loving on one another. Let's keep meeting in the morning, have conversations like we're doing here. Uh, that's it. Idaho, Idaho, Nathan Lamont, Idaho. I'm the whole breakfast sampler. I got 2 pancakes in the back. I got a strip of bacon that comes down the middle. Then I got 2 eggs and a sausage. Idaho. Okay, y'all, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Cause listen, y'all gonna make me act up. Y'all gonna make me act up. Yes, thank you, Doglex. I received the refilling. I received the filling up. I appreciate it. And at the end of the day, you know, I love you, love you, love you. It's time to go. I'm out of here. There is no raid today. There's no raid today. So when I get back in the studio, we'll raid again. I want to say a special thank you to the Rebel Inc., who makes this podcast possible by running what she is doing remotely from the studio so I can do this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The Rebel Inc. is the real business. It's 1:59. I love y'all, and I'm out of here. See you in the morning, same time. Now, this is what I want to say real quickly. I got to get it in. If you don't deal with it, it will deal with you. And don't just talk about change, but be the change. And I, you, me, we, us, all. That's what it is all about. Peace for your journey.